Hello, and welcome to another video podcast.
Don't do that.
This is gross.
If you feel like a grape and you only have raisins,
Don't do that.
you have two nostrils.
This
Okay.
wins
All
the
right.
most disgusting episode so far.
It's something that I still do, and I still do it and love it.
Don't do that.
Look, awards are great. Some are obviously more prestigious than others.
This month, coming up right here on this podcast.
Speaking of things that you may not want to know,
Come sit in somebody's lap.
Don't do that.
People know I hire talent sometimes, so I get 500 business cards at the conference too. Guess what? They stay in the room when I leave.
They wanted a British accent,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
and I don't have any samples with a British accent. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another VO podcast. We have a very special guest on the show today. This is someone that's been in the VO business for over 15 years, has had thousands of clients throughout her career, and some very big names at that. She's a baseball aficionado, has traveled to every state in America. She has a heart the size of Texas. She's a podcast host. She has almost 20,000 followers on TikTok. And she created one of my most favorite skits on TikTok, which is about the voiceover help desk agent.
Love it. Love it. I got my
she-
pen right here.
Yeah. She has a special place in her heart for narwhals. She drinks fire cider every morning, and she loves the way Troy and I say lawyer.
wait, what?
There's more to Mandy than meets the eye. So welcome to the show today, Mandy Fisher, aka Astoria Red.
Hello, what a wonderful intro. Thank you so much for that. And yes, I do love the way they say lawyer. It's so cute.
Lawyer.
Liar. Lawyer?
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
so
right way to
cute.
say it?
Lawyer, yeah.
Lawyer.
Apparently,
You
that's what
use
the word
my
is.
voice
Yeah.
for AI, and I will get a lawyer.
Lawyer.
A lawyer.
Damn straight.
I love it.
Yeah, so welcome to the show, Mandy. What
Thank you.
what do you got going on today besides our podcast?
Like in my day is filled with I have auditions after this, and then I have a student I'm helping with their radio imaging demo, and then tonight I am teaching a workout class for my business class that I teach. I have students in a voiceover business class, and I'm hosting a workout specifically for them. So it's a full day.
Dang.
Wow,
that
that's
was
awesome.
Busy,
that was
busy.
a loaded question. You had everything
Yeah,
scheduled
yeah.
now. That's
Lots of
and
pies.
yeah, no doubt. And we have a question later on kind of about how you juggle and manage your busy schedule. But
Yikes.
we're talking about it together, and I think you're kind of a superstar in the
Aw.
voiceover realm. And
You are everywhere. I mean, like every
Yeah.
time I open them on my
yeah,
TikTok,
true.
it's eiteither something random I don't follow or it's you. So it's like, oh, okay, cool.
And I'm sorry.
No, it's all good with me, man.
You're like, I'm sorry to some, and you're welcome to others.
Yes.
But we kind of wanted to know a little bit more about Mandy, today on the show, and not just it's all about voiceover, because that's all we do all the time. So we'll dabble in voiceover also, but just to learn a little bit more about you. Like I said, there's more to Mandy Fisher than meets the eye. There's some interesting facts. You have a love of New York. That's apparent.
I'm right there with you.
Where else have you visited in the U.S. that kind of impressed you or left an impression on your heart?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. Well, like you said in the intro, so fabulous intro. You should write all my intros because that was awesome. I love baseball so much, and I've been to every Major League Baseball stadium in the country.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I did it all like in one summer. I just got
That's
in my car
bananas.
and I camped everywhere. I didn't stay in a hotel, and I just camped everywhere. And it really gave me an opportunity to see the country and also
Sure.
see some baseball, because that's what I love. And I guess I think the national parks we have in this country are incredible. I really loved Yellowstone and Yosemite and Joshua Tree and spending time just in nature and in any park. It doesn't even have to be a national park. Just like camping outside, being in nature, feeling like things. Because to be perfectly honest with you, there are some days where I don't go outside at all. And I tried to make it my New Year's resolution this year to go outside for at least 10 minutes to get some vitamin D, like real vitamin D, because I'm just popping gummies all the time, right? But, I really tried to make it a priority to get some fresh air and sunlight because I am in here all the time, like literally all the time. And reconnecting with the world, I think, is really important as a creative person, but just as a human being in space, I think it's just really important to do that. So I would say, yeah, the national parks, those 3 I listed, were pretty special.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I bet.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we can everybody in here can agree with you on the connecting with nature part and being outside. Like Jake and Alden, they're like avid Frisbee golfers.
Wrong.
So
We are avid disc golfers.
Disc golfers, yeah.
We'll just end the
Get it right.
podcast here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
How
Yeah.
dare
Good night,
you?
everybody. Yeah.
How dare you? And being outside, Troy, he has a farm, so he, gets to connect with nature out there. And like, I like to go fishing.
Yeah, I
and
picked
just-
up turds yesterday. It was great.
Always got to connect with nature.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
That's for the out of context reel right there. Save that.
Yeah, but when those tomatoes come out of that garden with that horse crap in
Right.
the ground, you'll know.
I bet you,
magic.
I bet you they're the bomb.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, since we're kind of on New York, like what is it that others kind of stigmatize New York about that you'd wish they'd understand better?
Man, so many things. Well, I've lived here. I've lived here for like 15 years, and I was born here. I grew up in Atlanta. I moved back to the city pretty much as soon as possible. I was 16 and I came back, and I think people associate New York with a couple of things: rude people. Times Square, this like energy in Times Square, and that anything can happen. Like there's good and bad in that anything can happen sort of mix, which is all pretty much true, I would say. But I think one of the things that me personally drives me absolutely crazy is when people just stop like on the sidewalk when we're walking, we're trying to get to. We're not rude.
Yeah.
We're busy people, and we're just trying to get to where we're freaking going. And if you stop on steps or like in the middle of the sidewalk, or we're commuters. Like we are trying to just get from point A to point B because that's the nature of the city. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in it, and a lot of people that aren't doing those things. They're here to visit, and so when that gets all mixed together, it can create a little bit of tension, and it can cause a little kerfluffles.
I'm walking here.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think some of the stigmas are true, but it's only because there's other factors that play into it that make it true. I guess if that's maybe that's the best way to answer that question. I'm not sure.
Great answer, Mandy. Next question.
Thank you.
Okay, Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I expected? And I, right or wrong, I expected her to say muggings, because I swear I don't know what it is. Most people, they always say, I don't want to ever go there. You'll get mugged. I
mean, you can. but
and
I
she
just
talked
don't know.
about Atlanta. One of my best friends years ago, we were at a convention in Atlanta at the Omni, and he got mugged, and a guy threatened to cut his finger off to take his ring if he wouldn't take his ring off. So don't tell me there's not mean people in Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
There
there's
are.
people
They're
I mean,
everywhere.
And that's the
there's mean
thing. You
people
can get
everywhere.
robbed in small town
Sure.
America. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
but a lot of people put that stigma on that for some reason.
I think
and I
probably
don't
like
understand it.
movies and like
Yeah.
props for
Probably.
movies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it just puts that mindset on people, and it's just they just plaster that on top
Well,
of.
and
New
there's a
York.
significantly larger amount of people in New York City. Like there are so
Yeah.
many more people
Yeah.
in New York City, so there's lots of potential for other things to happen because there's just so
Right.
many freaking people.
Yeah.
So funny story. So I used to work for hotels.com and Expedia way back in the day as an agent, right? And there was a guy that called and he's like, I think he was calling from like Norman, Oklahoma or something, right? And he's like, "Yep, we want to stay. We want to stay there next to the Statue of Liberty." And I was like, "All right, well, stay in the Hudson." And the thing is people that haven't traveled there, they just have this. They relate to what they know from TV and shows and stuff, but then for the reality of things, they relate it to where they live, right?
Mhm.
So a nice expensive hotel in Norman, Oklahoma is probably $100, right? And he's like, "Yeah, we don't want to spend over $100 a night and someplace with free parking and hot breakfast and this and that and the other thing." And I was like,
Well, if you
"Sir,
find that, let me know because
Yeah,
that
I know.
sounds great.
Yeah, and it's like the
I'm sorry, are
valet
you talking about a
parking-
different Statue of Liberty?
It's like the valet parking is $60 a day, and that's without in-out privileges. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
He just didn't know. And I was like, I could put you in Jersey for like $120 a night, like cross the river. Maybe you could kind of see. I put you in a pod hotel. But yeah, it's just funny. Like if you don't travel and go out and experience things, you just don't know sometimes. You know?
Sure. And that's my
Yeah.
point about Times Square is that everyone thinks that everything happens in Times Square because, Broadway and, but for New Yorkers, it's like the last place in the world we ever want to fucking go. And
Right.
excuse me, like pardon my French, but like when I go there, it's to see a show, right? But even that is like the most miserable experience. Like I would rather put my face in a coal fire than spend any time unnecessarily in Times Square. It's the friggin' worst.
Yeah, people do that here because we have people that come in. They say, "Can we go to the Opry?" I'm like, "Hell no, we're not going to the Opry."
I mean,
Yeah.
people come to Fort Worth and they're like, "Let's go down to the stockyards."
Oh, I hate
Right,
it there.
Fort Worth stocks, and yeah, exactly, right. We're like, no, how about we just hang out at my house? We'll do a bonfire in the backyard or something.
Yeah.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't go to the stockyards if you live here. I mean, and if
Yeah.
you do, then you're kind of like, you want a pumpkin spice latte with that? Like, I don't know. Like,
Hey,
Yeah.
nothing's wrong with pumpkin
Easy.
spice latte.
Easy.
you're right.
That's
You're
right.
right. But I'm just saying,
Hate is gonna hate.
Yeah. So, Mandy, you mentioned that you traveled to every state for and saw every baseball stadium in the summer.
Yeah.
So, like, where does that love of baseball? Tell us about your love of baseball and like where did that stem from? Like, where did that grow?
Yeah. I mean, so when I was a kid, my parents took us to a Braves game and we get there and, got our snacks and they sang the national anthem and I was like, okay, cool. It's time to go. Right. Like we're done. Right. This is baseball. And my dad was like, no,
Oh.
it's like, there's so much more to do. And I was like, I was not into it as a kid. I definitely didn't play it as a kid. But being, a New Yorker, you're either a Yankees fan or a Mets fan. And I had never, like I said, been to ball games, and my group of friends at the time was going to ball games all the time. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll friggin' go. And we went to a Yankees game. And the thing that really did it for me was one of my friends taught me how to score the game. And so once I understood how the game was played and the strategy and different players and strengths and this and how to keeping score. So I keep score at every game I go to because it not only helps me focus and get into the game a little bit more, but then it's like a nice little souvenir I have from, the ballpark because
That's
I'm
cool.
already spending like $12 a beer. Like I'm not going to spend, for whatever else on whatever freaking stupid memorabilia, but that's my little souvenir from the ballparks. So once I figured out how to score and play and get to know the players a little bit more, then I was really into it. And it just kind of blossomed and snowballed from there. And one summer I was like, I wasn't doing any tours. I wasn't performing. I wasn't doing anything. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go because I'm never going to be able to do this ever again. I'm just going to do it. And there you go. That's what I did.
Dang, that's awesome. So that was just like on a whim, like, I'm just going to do this crazy ass thing.
Kind of.
And okay, here we go. Jumping in the car.
Okay,
Bye.
Quick Georgia question, because you live down there, went to ball games. I lived there in the, God, this dates me, but early mid 70s. And we went
Before
to
my
Fulton. Yeah, before your time. We went to Fulton County Stadium. And I mean, heck, I was, a 10-year-old kid then. I'm
Mhm.
still it makes me old as fuck, but that's okay. Anyway, we went to Fulton County Stadium. I got to see Pete Rose, Johnny Bench. My dad's company had season
Wow.
tickets. We went all the time. There wouldn't be 6,000 people there, maybe. It would be empty. So the ushers got to know us, and they're like, "Yeah, man, come on down, sit behind the dugout."
Cool. That's
we
so
got
fun.
to move where it was great. But where I'm not trying to get too geographic. Where in the Atlanta area were you? We lived in the Chamblee, Doraville area, which was just a little north of Atlanta.
Yep, I was in Marietta.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's even a little more north than we were. So cool. Marietta. I remember when they built the interstate to come. Yeah. Here I go again. Old as fuck. It built the interstate to come to Tennessee, and we would have to, do back roads through Marietta to get home to Atlanta, because we'd come up to visit family sometimes. And when they were building the interstate. So we went through there a lot. But anyway, neat.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. See, you always have something and you always have a connection with somebody or something, and that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
You said something about being on tour. So I mean, I guess I'm not familiar with this. What kind of tour?
Oh yeah, I mean before voiceover, BVO, I was a child actor. I was doing film and television and theater. So I did a lot of tours,
awesome.
like theatrical tours, especially as a teenager. One of the best things you can do as an actor is summer stock, and I definitely did. I definitely did a lot of that in my day and into my 20s. But yeah, so that's
really
that.
cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool connection, because Jake is a theater guy.
Oh,
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did theater for a good while.
I left one sound booth from my mom, and I went right into like another, the entertainment industry, theater. That was always, I came out of the womb singing and dancing. Like that was always
Right.
just like what I was meant to do. I knew it from day one, and it's just always been on my sights.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So what was like one of your most memorable roles or locations that you did a show at?
Jeez, what a question.
I told you it's going to be randos. They're coming. They're coming, man.
I mean, it's been a while since I've been on stage, but something that I try to do, something that I do every Halloween is downtown on the Bowery is Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I really enjoy doing. I think it's really fun. But I also do Drunk Shakespeare every once in a while. I used to do it in my early 20s when I was a youngin' and could drink all hours of the night away with not too many consequences. I was doing Drunk Shakespeare like every other week, and that was great. So now I do it once in a blue moon, a couple times a year, but that's always a fun experience, and I love drinking, one, and two, performing Shakespeare. It's always really, really fun, and the crowds are great. So I prefer, I think when I was younger, I enjoyed the attention of large, theaters, 5,000 seat theaters, and enjoyed all of that. But now I in my old age, Troy, I am enjoying a more intimate kind of experience with people. So I would say that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it gets worse. So hang on.
You're still, I mean, in a way though, you have a bigger, crowd than a 5,000 person auditorium, because
I mean, sure.
Right?
Theoretically, sure. But
you don't have to look at their faces.
Yeah, exactly.
Gawking up at you.
I have control over that experience versus, the other way around.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's easy to miss that though. I mean, I played live music for a long time, and I know what you're saying. It's easy to miss it and love it. But gosh, this is so much better because I love not dealing with people.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
It's great.
I would take it any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling the guys yesterday, I had here locally, we've got a really nice, they had redone this old movie theater, and turned it into a live venue. And they've, they bring in some artists that aren't as popular anymore. And they were talking to me yesterday, like, I do a podcast for the Chamber of Commerce, and they were like, it'd be really cool if you would take the theater over and you could host the stuff when they come in and help manage the events. And then they told me what it paid. And I said, yeah, I know. No, I'll be home in the booth. No.
Thank you, but no.
Yeah. Thanks for thinking of me. I'll keep doing your
Bless
free
your heart.
podcast. But
Yeah, exactly.
Bless your sweet little heart.
Yeah, bring my name up again and we'll get a lawyer.
Oh, gosh.
We're going to get a lawyer for the theater.
For the theater.
So you are a podcast host also, which I've listened to every episode because it's a great podcast.
It's so fun.
Thank you.
Ryder and Matt.
Yeah.
And how did that come to be? Like, I mean, it's a great
I don't
concept.
know,
It's a
dude.
great concept.
I don't know. I mean, Ryder called me one day out of the blue, and I rarely pick up my phone. I mean, I'm just that type of person where I love you, but text me or email me, and he calls me, and I was like, oh shit, I better answer. And so he says, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, I've got this idea to do a podcast, and I think it would be really fun, but I just need to know if you're in or out. And I was like, okay, fuck it. Yeah, sure, I'm in. And then he was like, boom. And then 2 hours later, called me back and say, okay, I've got this idea. Now that everyone's in, it's you, me, and Matt. We're going to do this. And I think it should be like this. And then we all just sort of started talking. I had never met Matt in my life, but the second I talked to that man, it was like we had known each other for years. Like
I can see that.
That's always
he's
good.
the type of guy who is he's a big old teddy bear. He's a huge dude. He works out all the time. He's a massive, huge dude. But he's just got this heart of gold. And the second we connected, it was like, where have you been all my life? And I think the three of us we care about each other and we enjoy each other. And we also, all three of us, enjoy voiceover and drinking. So it was just sort of like a natural symmetry,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I love Mark. Mark's coached me for a while, and there's been several times we get on, we'd start talking about stuff, and all of a sudden he's like, shit, man, you only got 30 minutes left. Do you think we ought to do some work? yeah. Let's do some work.
Yeah. He's
great.
He is great. They're both great. They're both just really smart, savvy,
I really enjoy
lovely human beings.
Yeah,
And I don't know why they friggin' chose me, but they did. And
well, we know why.
Good
Gracious. We know why. Bless your heart.
I like that you said that because, you have things in common, you care about each other. So it is a podcast group that you have. But it kind of reminds me of our group that we have here with us four, because we do the podcast, but before that we were accountability partners. Hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm struggling with. Hey, what's worked for you? Hey, let's try this. Hey, can you guys listen to this? Give me some feedback on it. So I think it's great to have that kind of, have that little support system, because you can be in a big Facebook group or you could be in a whatever. And,
Sure.
I think that in those arenas, you are either the new person, you're the middle ground person, or you're the person that has the answer for everything. And I think that if you're the person that has the answer for everything, right, it's a personal thing that you're like, yeah, I'm helping people and I know some stuff. I feel like I'm the top dog in here and people look up to me. And there's this thing that you feel that it's not helping you grow as much as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you have that small accountability group or that close group of people that you can really it's your friend talk. Bro, I haven't made shit this month.
The water cooler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I think that's great that you have that with those guys.
Yeah,
100%.
it's important. And, I talk a lot about community and finding your people and finding people that are going to talk nicely about you even when you're not in the room. They're going to advocate for you. They're going to help you and support you through the ups and downs. And finding your people in the entertainment industry especially is one of the hardest things to do, is building that community and finding people that you like and trust. And it's not about agreeing. It's not about having the same point of view on everything. It's about those things you just said, support and being able to bounce ideas off of each other without judgment or fear or whatever. And having that is essential. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times other actors and other agents that I don't even work with, or casting directors who have said, hey, someone said, that you might be interested in this gig, or that you might be right for this, can you, the referral industry in the industry is like, it's massive. It's 10% of my income last year came from referrals, and that's not nothing. So having that community that you build is critical.
Yeah, we've talked about
glad
before,
you said that. Yeah,
because we've talked about before that it's like, it's not necessarily who you know, it's who knows you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, and who can refer you in there. And talking about talking about community, you have a great community on Discord. I mean, I've been in there for I think about a year now, and just you've got endless resources for people, newcomers, for people that have been in the gig for a while. I mean, like it's a great place to be, and it's all positive. I mean, like I've not seen anything that like I disagree with or anything go on in there. So I just again commend you on that as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
that's got to take some time.
It does, and I try to offer as many free opportunities to work or ask questions as I can, but it's hard to balance sometimes.
Sure.
But there's lots of people in there who, like Jake said, are supportive and care, like really just care about learning, and that's the whole basis, the whole premise of having it is education. Because when I was first starting out, there was jack flip nothing. Like there was nothing on the internet. There was no teachers, and there wasn't information, but there sure as shit wasn't information for kids doing voiceover. So it was hard to find community and find resources and find people that were even willing to talk about it. So I wanted to make sure I was doing my part in having places, for people who, things that I would have wanted, try to make that available for people.
And now there's so much people are making bad choices. A lot of bad choices being made. What you were talking about just a second ago, and we talked about this a little in a previous episode, is as a voice actor, you have to do both market and you also have to network. And they are, one is almost as important as the other. I mean, you got to be very careful with, I hear people say, well, quit making friends on Facebook with voice actors. What does that hurt? I mean, it doesn't hurt anything. They get to know me. I get to know them. I'm not marketing to them. I'm not trying to do anything with it, but something may come up. I mean, I've had referrals, like you said, I hadn't had 10%, but I have had I've had coaches send me referrals. I've had other actors send me referrals. I think that's great. I actually booked my first SAG job last year off a referral.
Amazing. That's amazing.
So, you just never know.
You never know. And that's, I say that often also, is that you never know. People ask me, should I make business cards? Absolutely, you should make business cards, because when you're out in the world, you don't know who you're going to meet. You never know when an opportunity is going to happen. Everybody, your mother, your friends, your dogs, your neighbor, everybody you know should have access to your demo, or know where to find your demo, or know how to listen to you. Everybody you know, and then they know. And then they should know that you're a voiceover actor and that you provide this service, because opportunities can come when you least expect it.
Yeah. It's like that old shampoo commercial. I told someone and he told someone, they just keep putting people on the screen. And next thing you know, there's like 1,000 people. Not very old. It was on a couple of years ago.
Okay. Well, you said old, so I'm thinking like, well, it was
when Troy still had hair.
The 80s,
Do you see, this is why you get in an accountability group, so 3 people can beat the crap out of you about how old you are all the time.
Absolutely.
It's great. I love it.
Or how young you are. I don't
It's
know.
funny. We beat on Jake because he's so young. It's like, you wouldn't even know this.
Young.
And gullible. Don't forget the gullible part.
I'm not gullible.
No, not at all.
Lovable, maybe.
Yeah, lovable.
No,
Same
but I'm
thing.
not that young
Same
either.
thing.
I'm 34, guys. I'm not young.
Oh, well,
Okay, you're young. So
Yeah, that's the
I think
my
Charles
son-in-law
is 10
just
years
turned
older than me.
34.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you say your son just turned 34?
Son-in-law.
son-in-law.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
oh
son-in-law.
my goodness.
Hey,
Yeah.
no,
Like,
no
Alden's
joke.
actually 76. You know, he has great skin. You know.
Today is my oldest son's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Happy
He's
birthday to
38.
your oldest son.
38.
Oh wow! Happy birthday.
And I got a daughter that'll hit 40 this summer.
What?
And then my other son turned 20 in January.
My goodness.
Hey, my aunt's birthday is next. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Spread them out.
Yeah, my daughter's 28, so she married an older fella, so I'm
Do they
not
call
quite
you? Do they call
yeah.
you Peepaw or Gran? What do they call you?
Papa.
Papa.
Papa. Mhm.
No,
That's awesome.
so sweet.
So you're talking about Astoria, like, you know, we're talking about juggling all this stuff. Do you have a virtual assistant or an assistant, or are you like one woman show? Like, I just do all that shit myself.
Yeah, I
Slam some
I
fire
started
water in the
using-
morning and fire cider and then go for it.
I do. I started using a VA a couple months ago who works maybe 2 hours a week for me, which is great, very very helpful. I should have been doing this friggin' years ago because it definitely does. 2 hours may not seem like a lot, but in the scheme of things, it definitely is a lot for me and my working life. But pretty much everything else, yeah, and I'm the worst person to ask about work-life balance, so definitely don't ask me about that. But I do have some tricks about time management, which my favorite thing to talk about is how I schedule my day, because everyone always asks me, like, how do you like schedule your day? And what I do is I write down, right, like pen and paper, old school, right? I write down 3 sections: morning, afternoon, and end of day. And I put in all of my stuff that I need to accomplish in those 3 sections. And I check them off when I do them for that time period. And if I don't get something done in that time block, it doesn't move to the next one. I just don't I don't get to do it that day. I have to move it to the next day. And maybe I'll put it in the morning block. If it was in my end of day block and I didn't get to it, maybe I'll put it in the morning block and I'll prioritize it for the next day. But it doesn't snowball or domino into my day. And that's how I keep my shit together. Like if I don't get it done in that time period, then I can't do it in another time period. It has to move to the next day. So that's what I do. It really helps me do it because it might help you too. But work-life balance, don't ask me about it because I have none and I cannot reconcile that. And I'm happy that way. Like people are like, well, you can change if you want. No, I like it like this. So I'm fine. Like I'm good. I'm solid. All right.
You're an early bird though, right? You're up early.
Yeah, I do. I get up at 4:30.
Wow. What time are you crashing then?
Yeah.
Like 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Sheesh. Why? How could you do that? Like that's 4
I
to
know.
5 hours?
I know, but honestly, like that's what works for me now. And
Yeah, I know. I get it. I'm not trying to harp on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, I couldn't imagine. Like,
You only need 3 hours of 2 to 3 hours of REM sleep. That's all your body really needs. And a lot of us don't get that because of sleep apnea, but she probably doesn't have sleep apnea and she can energize. So it works. Yeah. I'm close to that. I go to bed around 12 and I get up about 7.
That's still like 7 hours of sleep, Doug.
Yeah. Compared to 3.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But here
usually I
comes,
get in a
here
solid
comes the
4.
old thing.
A solid 4. Wow.
A solid
Yeah.
4. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's solid, I guarantee it's better than 7 of tossing and turning, baby.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
For sure.
That's true.
Am I
She's got
mistaken,
it
or did I
going
see
on.
that you're going to VO Atlanta this year?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no.
No.
You don't do the conference stuff? Okay.
No.
Did
Is there a reason?
you do the conference stuff when you started, or
No, I went to the very first VO Atlanta when I was like 10.
Okay.
And I went with my mom back when we knew nothing about voiceover. But no, I don't do the conference thing.
Okay.
do you do Uncle Roy's barbecue?
No, I don't.
You're
I mean,
like right there.
I know. I and look, it's not. People are like, "Oh, well, you're such a loner and you hate people." No, that's not the reason. Like, like it's not that I don't want to be around you. I love you. It's my own like personal stuff going on. I'm deaf.
Sure.
I'm deaf in my left ear, and I struggle with that and large groups of people. I'll get listening fatigue. So I'll just want to, as soon as like I'm around a lot lot of loud noises. And like this happens at the ball game too. Like a lot of times I can't stay for the full time because I just get sleepy. And I'm like, all right, well, why am I going to go to a conference that's a lot of money, a lot of travel, a lot of expense, a lot of this, a lot of energy,
A lot of
where I
people.
go and
A lot of
I'm
stuff
just
you know already.
sleepy and I'm just going to go back to my room and pass out. Like, you know, I can do that
Right.
here. So it's not that I don't enjoy being around people or want to interact in real life. It's just, you know, I struggle a lot with
makes sense.
being deaf, and
Yeah.
it's hard. And, you know, that's
Yeah,
one of the big ones.
that's one ear trying to take in all the sound and process
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
through one instead of stereo. So I can see how that could get
Yeah, it's
exhausting.
rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
So there you go.
So, you know, you've been at this for a while, right? You've seen the business transform and change since you've been in it. You know, we were recently talking about in the VO world, right? There's the people that crush it on pay to play. There's people who crush it with agents. There's people who dabble. There's people who make, you know, okay money. There's people that make good money. There's people that make like fucking like real good money. And we've never heard of them, right? Like there's this group. I mean, there's voice actors that we've never heard of. Like
Sure.
we don't know who
They're
they
just
are,
killing it.
but they're just out there doing their thing and just going on vacation and
Living
making
life.
it. And yeah, exactly. So like, number one, do you know any of those people? No. She's like, yes, I'm one of them.
Well, maybe.
And so can you like give us kind of your insights and like maybe you see where the industry is kind of headed next? I know AI is kind of, you know, coming into the picture. It's taking away low hanging fruit. Just where do you see the industry headed in like the next, let's say 25 to 30 years? Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny because people ask me this question all the time, but it's really more immediate. Like, where do you see the industry in the next 5 years? Which hopefully I'm still a part of it. But in the next 30 years, I don't know if I'm going to be part of it by then. Like, you know, who knows if I'm even going to be invested in the industry in the same way that I am now. But yeah, with AI, the thing is, it's not going away. And I think we have to, before it gets regulated, or if it gets regulated, or how it works itself into the entertainment industry in the way that it's going to, we have to figure out how to grow with it and work alongside of it and not against it. Because again, it's not going away. It's going to continue to get better and better and better and better and better. And yes, eventually it will probably take some of the things over. But from my experience now, I have lost clients to AI, a couple in the last year, and every single one of them have come back to me and said, "We're so sorry. You know, we thought it was going to be this, and it wasn't, and we would much rather work with a person." So even if the AI is good, right? Even if the AI sounds good, it's not the same experience you're going to have working with a human being, with an artist, with somebody that you trust can do what you want them to do. So I think those advancements will absolutely happen, and we're going to see some things change across the entertainment industry, not just in voiceover, but also, you know, in film and TV. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think we just have to be smarter and be more open to adapting what we do as artists. You know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there wasn't streaming platforms for us to have voiceover on. There wasn't even an option for OLV. There wasn't an option for YouTube. Like, so as things develop and things grow and change and usage changes and new things happen and TikTok and, you know, these things didn't exist. New things are going to come into the fold, and we just have to be smarter to be able to jump into those opportunities and say yes to some things that maybe take us out of our comfort zone as humans, as artists, as creative people, and give it a fucking go. Because if we don't, then we're going to get left behind, and then things are going to take over. And if we don't have the courage and accountability to put us forth as actors, as creative people, then we're going to get left behind. So I don't really think I answered your question in the way that you intended, but I do, I don't have the crystal ball in front of me right now, but I do see absolutely there will be things that come and change in ways that we can't predict. And I think that's a little scary, but also kind of beautiful. That's human nature. And human nature is also married with technology. There's no way to separate it anymore. And with that in mind, I think you can take those leaps a little bit more securely if you are secure with that knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I like what you said though about as far as like maybe it puts you out of your comfort zone, but like, and I think you even made the point too, like you have to do that to grow. I mean, like,
Sure.
Troy and I can't, Alden maybe too, like went full time probably a little too early, and we were probably all uncomfortable with that initially. But
Sure.
at the same time, I mean, like, I think I've learned so much more about not just myself, but just in general, like, voiceover and whatnot, like by being full time and kind of having to adapt in order to make ends meet, kind of thing,
Exactly. It lit
So,
that
I mean-
fire in a way that forced you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it
for
puts you in a position to where you kind of figure out what you're made of. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot of instances in life that put you in that because everybody likes to be comfortable, right? Nobody
but
wants to be uncomfortable.
Growth
right?
happens in discomfort,
Exactly, right?
Yep.
And what anything really worth doing is, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it in the end.
Right.
And like I think there's we kind of live in a society where it's like instant gratification. I want to make money now. Like I want to find the easiest way to make the most. And I think it's grandized on social media and posts that you see in commercials about like, oh well, look at this influencer. It's like, okay, yeah, they're like showing themselves on a yacht and their awesome condo on the beach and whatever, and like everybody's like, oh, that's what I want. Oh, I could just be an influencer too. And it's like, okay, this person probably has a whole team behind them, right? They are their life is, they're a very, 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 very small percentage of influencers or people that want to do this. And I think that kind of trickles into the VO world too, because I'm
Of course
sure
it does.
Yeah, I'm sure that you get a lot of messages like, hey, how can I think there was somebody that's like, hey, I need to make this much money this month. How can I do that in VO? And it's like, bro,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
your back is against the wall and you're jumping into this to make that much money of an industry that you have no idea about. And it's like, it
Get
just
your
blew
ass
my
to
mind.
Domino's.
Yeah. It's like, go
Yeah.
cut some yards, go do
Uber.
something that will keep your head above water right now. And then, because this is not an industry that's easy. And it's funny because there's so many, we've all seen them. There's so many, here, let me do it. Right. That's all that you see. You just see the mouth.
Sammy Scammer.
Yeah. You just see them out and they're like, do this and you could make money doing this. And it sucks because there's so many people that are in situations where they're living a paycheck to paycheck and they might not even be making enough to live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And they see this opportunity and then they spend that little money that they do have on some bullshit. And, then they get burned. They hate the VO. This industry is dumb and, blah, blah, blah. And I got scammed. And it's just, it kind of hurts me to see that. I just hate predatory things against people, especially when they're preying on people that are in tough situations. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's really how my TikTok channel was born. Is I saw these types of videos that were not just, opinion. My opinion was that it was wrong or bad information, but just categorically wrong or bad information. And it broke my heart because I know that people who want to do voiceover, it's sometimes, yes, it's driven by the idea that there's a lot of money, and there is a lot of money to be made. But mostly it's because people have a dream and think that it's amazing, and to fulfill that dream and then to just have it crushed like that broke my heart. And so I got angry and was trying to combat some of that bad information with some facts and some other ways of going about it. If this is what you want to do, then here's another road you could take that will set you off on at least a path of knowledge and education versus chasing the money. Because if you're in voiceover to chase the money, you are going to be very disappointed very quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that speaks volumes, because, and I think that's why people gravitate towards you, especially on social media and stuff, because we could tell, like when I said you got a heart the size of Texas, you do. Like we could see that,
Aw.
and you never really down anybody. You never down anybody unless it's like you're fighting against a bully. You know what I mean? And then and then
there's situations
it's not
for
Mandy
everything,
Fisher anymore.
right?
It's Astoria
Yeah,
Red,
yeah.
and the claws come out, and you're like, "This is my friend, dude." Like, all right, like you'll go to bat for your friends, and you'll
Choose
go to
your
bat.
character, and I'm ready.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah. You're in the lobby, and you're like this,
I'm
right? It's
ready.
like, oh, it's on, and I got
That's
some
right.
special moves, motherfucker.
Oh,
Like,
man.
here we come.
That's
Right.
good.
So,
That was
and
great.
I think that's one of a great quality that you have, and I think that's why people gravitate towards you, because they know you're real. You know what I mean?
And you very much
get
are
that
real.
sense.
Like,
You get that
every
sense
time.
immediately that it's like no bullshit.
Who you see on
I care
TikTok
for
is
you.
who you hear in your Q&As on your Discord. You know what I mean? Like, you are 100% you across the board.
Well, I try. I mean, I think that's important. I think it's
Sure,
important,
it is important.
especially when you're trusting people, as a coach, as somebody who does coach other actors. I think it is critical to not have those like two personas. Like you have to just be you. And like, look, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not trying to be. I know that some things I say or the way that I am doesn't gel with certain people. And I think that's great, because there's other people I can send you to that are very different from me that can also give great information. I mean, there's enough room at the table for many different experts and many different people to share their knowledge and share what they do. And it's not just a one size fits all thing. But if you can't be real, then what's the fucking point? Like, what's the point? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? So, thank you.
Well, to kind of touch on that too, real quick, as far as performance goes, we see it in auditions all the time. I mean, like, they want believable, conversational, real, and all that stuff. And we've talked about before, one of the hardest things is like being yourself in an audition and in a performance kind of thing. Have you kind of always like just known who you are and been like, if you're not cool with that, that's fine? Or is that something you kind of had to like talk yourself into, or I don't want to say like learn how to be yourself, but kind of like come to a realization, like, I'm just going to be myself and not give a crap. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure. It definitely, definitely was a journey. Definitely didn't happen. It definitely took time to stop being in my own head and being the version of myself that I thought other people wanted me to be. And, being in the public eye and being a performer, being an actor, you're used to getting people's opinions. Like opinions. You try to take in what works for you and what helps you grow and learn. And then the rest falls off your back like a duck and you're kicking like hell underneath, right? Like that has always sort of been my way of thinking, but it took a while to also get out of my own way and get out of my own version of what I thought I should be for other things and what I thought I should be for this. So I think I came to a point where I wasn't booking the things that I thought I should be or could be. And I did have to do a lot of self-reflection. And I do, I do this, I've done it several times, but I keep going back to this habit from this fabulous book. I'll talk about it for the rest of my life, forever and ever, amen. The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I think it's probably one of the best things I've ever done for myself, is really take time to look at myself as a person, human being, artist, what I want, how I approach the world and the way that I think, and not let myself stop myself from those things.
Right.
So yeah, it took a while, and it's still a process. It's still a journey. Every day I have self-doubt and am I doing this right, and imposter syndrome and fear of this. And I mean, I struggle with that like anybody else does. Some days I have myself more together than others, but that's again like human. Once I remind myself and tap into reminding myself that I'm a human, and that all of this is normal and okay and expected, and that I have mechanisms to work through these things instead of spiraling in them, then we're good to go. Like it's okay to feel, it's okay to, feel self-doubt and worry and anxiety and all of those things. But what gets you trapped is when you start to spiral in it. But if you have ways to pull yourself out, but acknowledge that you're feeling those things and why, and understand, then, you can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds awesome. And I love that. And just since you're talking about all that, and I mean, I don't know, I say again, I see you out there, just putting yourself out there and letting people kind of like watch you and learn from you. Before we let you go, where can people find you if they're not already following you? Like you can, plug whatever, your socials, your website, all of it if you want.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Well, on TikTok, that's where I post every single day at Astoria Redhead on TikTok. I have a website, AstoriaRedheadVoiceover.com, filled with resources and all kinds of opportunities to learn from other people. And I have my own, I just launched this thing called the Audition Experience, which is for people who are looking to work with agents but don't know how that relationship works. Basically, for a day, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, you can choose how long it is. We'll role play and I'll act as your agent, and I'll send you 3 to 5 auditions a day, and you can make all of the mistakes with me instead of with your real agent. And you'd be surprised by how many people, they're focusing so much on doing the audition and doing a good job in the audition, right? Because they want the best performance, but they neglect some of the other really important things like following directions, labeling correctly, turning it in on time. I mean, all of those things really matter, and we forget how much they really matter. And so, I try to give feedback to people, not just on their performance, but also, hey, you didn't label this correctly. Like if you don't label it correctly, some agents will email you back and say, fix it, which is a waste of their time and ticks them off. Or they might just not send it along to casting, which is even worse. So you make all of those mistakes with me in this safe environment where I will also tell you what you're doing wrong. And then you feel confident going into that relationship with an agent when you finally get a spot on, a roster. That it's so exciting. All of those nerves are kind of out of your system. You've already made the mistakes and you know how to fix them before you do it with the agent. So that's the new thing. And I hope it helps people. So far, I've gotten a bunch of good feedback that it's helpful. So that's where you can find me. And of course, my Discord.
That's amazing. Yeah, Discord, right. And you have links to those on your socials, right?
Sorry, I didn't hear who asked me what.
She's got links to her Discord on her socials.
I only got one ear, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I believe you have to go through the link to get into the Discord, right?
Yes, there's a link.
You kind of have that on your TikTok and stuff.
Yes, it's right front and center in my bio. It's right in there. And it's not even named anything cool. I was trying to come up with a cool name. It's just a Astoria Redheads Discord server. It's nothing. That's just it.
Hey, that works.
That's awesome. Are you a redhead?
I am.
Oh.
It's kind of hard to see
have your
in
camera
this
on
light, but yes, I'm a redhead.
Charles only has one good eye.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, it's already 52 minutes. That's nuts. It hasn't felt like that, but
not at all.
Mandy, we just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
Oh gosh, of course.
And
thank you for asking.
It's an honor to have you on the show, and we really, really thank you for coming on here today.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I love talking with all of you guys. You're all very wonderful, and I appreciate you and your time and what you're doing. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps up our episode today for another VO podcast, and we will see you on the next one.
Contents of another VO podcast may cause drowsiness, itchy forehead, burning armpits, or headache. Some less known side effects include mashed toes, sore egos, irritable bowel, or just an old-fashioned case of red ass. Opinions given are not fact but opinion, and names have been changed to protect the 3 idiots who record this podcast.